Okay. Hi, I'm Brielle Smith, and our research was on the effects of domesticated animals on wildlife in Wildwood Park in Radford, Virginia.
I'm Courtney. And I'm Maya.
And I'm Christine Small.
So here we have one of the pictures from one of the stealth cams. It was on one of our trails, and you can see that one of the domesticated animals, a dog, is shown in a wheelchair going down the trail. At the bottom, you can see the type of camera. You can see that the camera will show the time. It'll also show the date. It'll also show the temperature. So that was very important for us to take into.
So this is a little background on Wildwood Park. It is a 55-acre of various habitats ranging from hiking and wildlife trails to rocky hiking trails, woodlands, there's marshlands, there's limestone cliffs, and then the Conley Run is a freshwater stream that flows into the New River. It has various flora and fauna that have been studied there, and is a popular place in Radford University to conduct studies. And a few, just to name a few, are the forest health assessment and the impact of invasive ash borer. So this is just a little introduction to how we came upon the idea. So originally it was a class project to analyze and catalog animal species and frequencies in Wildwood Park with wildlife cams. Wildlife cams because they are invasive, you're not disturbing their natural travel paths. After we collected the photos, we decided to analyze the effect of domestic animals because domestic animals listed below have these known effects of pathogen transmission, predation, and increased competition and behavior modification on wildlife animals. So our methods, we set up two different types of wildlife cam. The stealth cam example was shown before, where the dog in the wheelchair was a picture from a stealth cam. We've deployed them 9/3/2020, and about a little over a month later, we went back and collected them. We positioned them, as you see, it's me in the photo, positioning a wildlife cam towards a natural funnel so the animals wouldn't have a choice but to pass through. So we can try and catalog their normal points. We also collected GPS waypoints so we can find them when we come back, descriptions of the habitats, in reference to the trail locations. And we also did range pole data with a meter stick marked at half a meter and a full meter to measure the types of, or how high the grass and the shrubs and the trees are around it. Then after we went through all the photos, we created an Excel sheet breaking down what wildlife was seen, how frequent, what time of day, and we also recorded domestic animal occurrences and human occurrences. Okay, so these are the two wildlife cameras used, the stealth cam and the Simmons whitetail. Both of them record, well, one of them records 24 hours, the other one records 12 hours. They both have infrared, so you can tell, or you can take pictures at night. There's shutters, so it takes multiple pictures. And so this is a picture and a chart of where our wildlife cameras were set. As you see through the top entrance of Wildwood Park is where we started and kind of moved out. You can see that based on the location, we have a lot of area covered. So it did end up showing a lot of different animals and a lot of different patterns.
So this is our hypothesis. We kind of did it, based on the cameras data that we collected. We said that if a domestic animal is present in the area, that wildlife will not be present. And we kind of noticed that if domestic animal activity is like higher in an area, that the lower the wildlife activity will be. And then as you can see in the left hand photo, that it has a domestic animal and it's a dog, and it was shown at 6:56 a.m. on 9/11. And then the closest we had to where wildlife came in was at 7:18 a.m. at 9/11 on. So that was the closest time we could get. After that, pretty much, if a domestic animal was present, it took at least an hour or two for a wildlife animal to come in after that.
So this is the first graph that we used. This graph shows changes in the appearances of domestic and wildlife animals within a 24-hour period. Each of these graphs shown use a collection of each camera's data. So for this, animal appearances, both domestic and wild, were measured by every time the camera picked up movement within a 1-hour period. So as you can see, the x-axis shows the sum number of species that the camera picked up, both domestic and wild, while the x-axis shows that the time of day in hours over a 24-hour time period. The beginning starts about 7 a.m., I want to say, and the end ends at about 6 a.m. So as you can see, the appearance of domestic dogs and humans increased during the middle, which is the day hours, while the appearance of domestic cats and other wildlife are increased during the night hours, which is both the beginning and the ending of the graph.
Our second graph is a configure of each camera's data. The animal appearances, both domestic and wild, were measured, as you can tell. The y-axis shows the number of animals that were active, and then the x-axis shows the camera number, which each one that was deployed in Wildwood. Camera 2 and camera 35 captured the most activity due to the cameras being placed in high traffic areas, which were walking trails. The appearance of wildlife, which is in blue, was the most recorded on both of those cameras, both 2 and 35, compared to domestic animals.
So this third graph shows the frequency of wildlife appearances compared to the frequency of domestic dogs and human appearances that were compared over a 24-hour period. This was done to show an overlap between the two factors to see if there was a trend. So as you can see, the appearance of human and dog interaction with the environment increases from roughly 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then again from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., while the wildlife interaction has the opposite effect. The blue line is the domesticated dogs and humans recorded in the field by time and against the sightings of the animals that were recorded. So as you can see, about 7 a.m., where there are higher appearances of wildlife, there are lower appearances of dogs, but where it peaks is about 9 a.m. and 6 p.m., where there are less appearances of wildlife. This last graph displays the different types of habitats and the animal activity in each habitat. So this figure is shown as a comparison of each habitat type and the animal appearances. So both domestic and wildlife appearances were recorded. The x-axis shows the number of animal appearances, and the y-axis shows the number of animal appearances, and the x-axis is each habitat type. So we took from the brushy forest, the deciduous forest, the forest stream, open rocky trail, and the grand total. The forest stream habitat has the most wildlife appearances caught on the cameras and the least amount of domestic animal activity, while the deciduous forest had the most domestic animal activity recorded, and the wildlife recorded was the least out of all the habitat types. In our pictures, the top picture shows a daytime photo of a fox on one of the trails, from a stealth cam, and the bottom picture shows a domestic cat in the nighttime to show the difference in the two.
So for our conclusion, the domestic appearance in Wildwood, as the domestic appearance in Wildwood Park increases, the wildlife appearance will decrease due to domestic animals and humans interacting with the area more, which drives the wildlife out, and more remote areas shown on the last graph have a surge in wildlife activity with the decrease in domestic activity.
And thank you for your time, and let us know if you have any questions.